Hi, Ami.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
How are you feeling since our last session?
Yeah, that was. Uh, it was I hated last week.
Yeah.
Like talking about it made it real again,
hmm
and it hasn't been real for a while.
Yeah.
Today I'm well. The last couple of days have been better, but kind of right after session, I was just not in a good place.
Could you put that into further context for me?
Just I actually felt sad. Like I'd come home from work
hmm
and I just wanted to cry
Yeah.
all the time. And I think I did cry a couple nights. I think I just did cry, or I'd wake up crying, in the middle of the night,
hmm
and I'd like try to sleep, and then it made this not being able to sleep worse because I guess I'm waking up crying, and now it's like I finally fell asleep, woohoo, and then you're awake because you woke yourself up crying because of this thing that is now real again for you, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for this. I can't fix it.
hmm Well, I'm sorry that we went that deep, but I really appreciate that you did share that with me. I'm sorry that you had a rough week, but I'm hoping that we can work further towards that if you're comfortable. Um, so this week, as far as like sleeping and being kind of not be able when you wake up during those times, what is it that wakes you up? Is it the sadness, or is there something more to it, or the thought of it?
Um, so I've been, I guess, the nightmares got worse,
hmm
or maybe not worse, just maybe more frequent or more vivid. Maybe is a better word. So yeah, it's kind of like the previous nightmares. It's always been like the same nightmare,
hmm
so I'm kind of like accustomed to it. It's like, yeah, I know you, you're a monster, but we're old friends.
Yeah.
These nightmares were just new and too vivid. So I'd wake up and I'm crying and I'm scared, and now I can't sleep because I'm crying and I'm scared. And this isn't a monster I know.
hmm
I can't just put you back in the shelf. The other monster, you're still a monster, but I know how to deal with you because I've had to deal with you for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could we walk through that nightmare? This
Woo.
this new one.
I can't breathe. I just can't breathe.
hmm
Just suffocating in darkness, and I would wake up and I'm like gasping for air and crying, and my eyes are red and bloodshot, and my hands are on my own throat. That's terrifying. Like, why am I strangling myself?
hmm
Yeah.
Does that feeling of you strangling yourself depict anything?
I guess I'm strangling myself.
I mean, like, um, from that time
Yeah.
that thing that we talked about last week happened to you.
I guess either I'm saying to myself you should have just stayed quiet,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm saying, or I feel like somebody's going to tell me to be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Because I'm feeling it, right? Like I feel it. You just sharing that little piece with me, and just from previous therapy sessions, you've never really had a voice or somebody to hear you.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering what that looks like.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to think that I would hope that I'm not strangling myself. I would hope that I'm not silencing myself.
Mm-hmm.
But the honest truth is that I may be silencing myself. And I feel like that's far more terrifying than other people silencing me
Yeah.
because I can't control what anybody else does.
Mm-hmm.
I am all I have control over. So if I choose to silence myself, how how much of an injustice am I doing to myself?
And what do you think about that?
And the answer is you like levels of injustice that can't even be defined.
Mm-hmm.
So in the dream, the nightmare makes sense in the context of being silenced.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's just now I need to figure out if I'm reflecting that in, or if I'm terrified of other people doing it to me.
Is there anybody outside of this room? I know that you've shared you can't really speak with your mom or your grandma or anyone in your family. Um, in Malawi because you're just not ready. You're not there, and also because of like the matriarchal patterns that you guys have when you feel like you need to be strong. But is there anybody here other than me that you feel comfortable, or maybe you have shared like, I'm feeling sad this week? Maybe not in depth, but
Not really. I don't have many friends.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people, so I have a lot of acquaintances.
yeah.
I like, people. I like people. I'm not like, yeah, people stay away.
Mhm.
But I don't have many friends that I think I would trust with something of that depth, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
A lot of people that I've encountered since I immigrated here just didn't understand me.
Mhm.
So kind of like put me, just made me a little less open, maybe.
Mhm.
So as a result of that, I kind of did it to myself. But as a result of that, I don't have too many people that I can trust. I used to go to church, and I
Mhm.
still go to church, but when my fiance and I first started kind of having issues,
Mhm.
I shared that with a couple of women at church, and I shared that with them in confidence.
Mhm.
And one of them told somebody else. Now, in her defense or whatever, she's like, no, I didn't actually tell her what's going on. I just said, something's going on with Yami. Maybe you should reach out to her.
Mhm.
But that wasn't your place to say.
Right.
So I kind of don't even trust them.
It's almost like your voice is being taken away again.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I suppose I could take a risk and confide in one of them again. Because what's the worst that could happen is they'll tell somebody else, but that's not their place to tell.
No, it's not.
So I guess I wonder if I guess weighing the risk and the benefits of, hey, maybe they won't.
Yeah.
Maybe that one time of you kind of retreating from the relationship was enough to let them know that. And I did tell her, I said, you know what, I do not appreciate that.
I'm glad.
Um,
I'm glad.
I don't appreciate that you shared. I understand what was driving it,
Mhm.
but I didn't appreciate it because I shared that with you in confidence. And if you felt that you felt I needed more prayer, or maybe I needed a larger circle of women around me, you should have asked me first.
Mhm.
Because the fact that I chose to tell you means I chose to tell you. If she doesn't know for a reason.
Yeah.
Whether that's just because I haven't gotten around to it or because I don't trust her, you don't know what my reason is.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for doing that. That was actually going to be my next question. Like, did you stick up for yourself
did.
with that?
I did.
That's good. How'd that feel?
Felt good. Felt like it felt like I was protecting myself
Mm-hmm.
and drawing lines, which I was proud of myself for doing it. Because I don't like conflict.
Yeah.
And there's always potential for conflict or something like that. Conflict just takes up too much time and energy, and then it burns in your soul, and then your whole world sets aflame. Your whole world doesn't really set aflame, but that's what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't like conflict. So it was kind of like, yeah, are you really gonna do this, or are you gonna just let it slide?
Like a battle between yourself.
Yeah. So it was kind of, I felt okay with the decision that I made.
What at that point compelled you to go between your battle with yourself? Go, I'm gonna do it.
So my other friend, so I remember I told two women.
Yes.
And the other woman, she had said, hey, have you been talking to?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, actually, no, I haven't really been talking to her either. Because she had said, hey, maybe we should meet up with her. And I said, actually, I don't want to meet up with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of said, well, what's going on? And I explained to her what I was upset about.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay. But what I didn't like about that as well is she wouldn't have told her that I was maybe feeling some kind of way to her. Like, that's not your place either.
Yeah.
Because at that point I was still struggling with whether or not to take the energy and risk the conflict,
Mm-hmm.
or to just maybe live with it, let it go, and maybe see where it goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, I don't know, the one lady texted me, the other lady, the one that actually told the secret that I didn't want her to tell, she texted me and she was like, hey, what's going on? We haven't talked in a while. And I said, I was like, you know what? Fine. I said, we haven't talked in a while because I don't trust you with the things that I'm sharing. I did not appreciate, and I just never went into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't. It was kind of, I guess, incidental how it happened. Because in my head, I was like, "There's no way she's texting me now, right after I just had a conversation with our other friend.
Mhm.
That our other friend didn't reach out to her.
Hmm.
Like, this too coincidental, and I don't think that was. I mean, I did find out later. She's like, "Yeah, I did tell her because I just thought it wasn't healthy to have that tension." I'm like, "But why is that your place?"
But how? Yeah,
Yeah,
it almost feels like now I've got no one, or like your community. Obviously, your church was your community at that time, and now where do you stand with church?
and I still go.
Yeah.
Because it's important to me.
Yeah.
So I still go.
Mhm.
And so the other thing is, and maybe it's because I was raised as the firstborn, as matriarch, or whatever. I get along more with the men.
Mhm.
They have no time for bullshit. They
Yeah,
don't. The
right.
women have like too much bullshit going with them, too much pettiness, and sometimes it's like I mean,
Yeah, I'm good.
yeah. So I get along more with the men.
Yeah.
But I also acknowledge, and this is not that anybody said to me. I also acknowledge that half of those men are married men,
Mhm.
and I'm not going to put myself or themselves in that position for rumors or to get called out like,
Mhm.
oh, perhaps you shouldn't be talking with the married men, like,
Yeah.
So I don't talk to them as much.
Mhm.
And then the single men, I'm like, they're young, they're young boys,
Yeah.
so they don't have the level of maturity I'm looking for.
Mhm.
So when I still go to church, I still engage with people. I still will try to engage with people, but I always feel like it's very superficial levels of engagement.
So it sounds like you're just sharing there that you went into your friendships with these women, right? And then you start talking about the men there. Do you think you're looking for somebody to have a companionship with? Are you ready for that?
Woo! Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've always wanted to like get married and have like 50 kids. That's always that's an end goal of me, along with like having a career and a family and living a full life.
Mm.
But wow, I don't think I'd know what to do with a man if one came at me right now.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, what are you?
Yeah. I guess I was just wondering because you started talking about the single men and how they come off like very young and
yeah.
I'm almost like, oh, I know that you're fairly newly single from your relationship, thinking like, is she delving into that already?
No,
not yet.
I don't think. I honestly I would not know. I mean, this is like slightly embarrassing. I'm a late bloomer, like a really late bloomer. So my fiance and I did not start having sex till like a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a year before our relationship ended.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I was 20 something
Mm-hmm.
at that point. And the youth today just know so much.
Yeah.
So,
was there a cultural difference there too for you?
I just didn't feel ready. Like,
it's all right.
I just didn't feel like sex is so intimate. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Your naked bits and my naked bits. Like that's really what it felt like.
Yeah.
And it's just really intimate.
Yeah.
And there's no going back.
Right.
Like you have sex, you can't undo having sex with somebody.
Would he have been your first? You don't mind me asking.
Yeah. Well, beyond like the sex that wasn't my choice.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did anything come up for you during that time that reminded you of what happened to you as a child? That you were
actually the opposite.
Okay.
Because I've always been afraid that I'll be afraid of having sex, or that I won't like sex, or that
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll be like disgusted by sex, or I didn't really like sex. I like really liked sex when we were together.
Yeah.
So that was like surprising for me because I just always thought I'd be like I was like, you'll do it because it's a necessity for babies and you want babies of your own body.
Yeah.
But I didn't think I'd like it as much as I liked it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You said a little bit ago, you actually like your voice changed when you said how you want your life to be full, your full life. What does that look like for you?
Well, I'll have 50 children. No, 50. I'll have I'll have managed to find myself a partner that who can agree on the main big goals. I know we're not going to agree on everything, but main big goals like having a house or at least somewhere to live that we can call our own. Raising our children in a way that we can both agree to raise our children.
Yeah.
Giving our children the best that we can give them
Mm-hmm.
without spoiling them or coddling them. That both our cultures and both our worlds are important to our children. If he's from Malawi, then okay, but if he's not, then that, you know what I mean. Like, even if he's from Malawi,
Mm-hmm.
then there's different cultures there.
Mm-hmm.
Like having worked job that is fulfilling. I don't have to like it, but let it be fulfilling.
Yeah.
You know, being able to agree on financial decisions together as a team. So, yeah.
I don't like it, but let it be fulfilling. Explain that to me.
I come from a place where you can't always have what you like, but you can make the best of what you've got and still be satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I hear this was very foreign to me, or just not foreign. Felt very privileged to me and indulgent when I came over here and I started going to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hear people talking about, well, no, I'm not going to go into that field because I don't like it. I'm like, but can you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it fulfilling?
Mm-hmm.
Are you good at it?
Yeah.
You don't have to enjoy it. You can. I'm not saying live an enjoymentless life.
Mm-hmm.
There are things you can do with your life that you can enjoy, but in terms of like just specifically careers, I think it's very indulgent and privileged.
Yeah.
To only seek a career. If it's an option for you, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not an option for everybody. So you don't always have the choice to be like, you do have the choice. But sometimes taking the choice to be like, oh, well, no, I'm not going to finish my doctorate degree, my medical degree, because I don't want to be a doctor anymore. I enjoy art more.
Mm-hmm.
Is the irresponsible choice to make sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you still enjoy art? Yes. Does that mean you have to completely stop being a doctor? No. That's the way I look at it.
It's so interesting, because even like I'm asking you like what's like your full like perfect world look like, and you still like took away from that. Do you know what I mean? Like in a perfect world, so everything goes your way. You're still holding back from. Well, I will have a job. I might not like it, but it will fulfill me. Mm-hmm. And even in like a perfect world.
Yeah, because my idea of perfection, in any perfection, it's not perfect if there's no imperfection in it. Mm-hmm. Because it's not real if there's no imperfection, and if it's not real, it can't be perfect.
What if I use the word fantasy?
I'd have 10 husbands. I'd have a harem. I'd be queen of every castle. I'd have like a whole kingdom. Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole other world.
Should we go into that?
Oh, we can. I mean, you might be here for a while.
I just wonder if sometimes you allow yourself to indulge in that stuff. Because every time we speak, there's always like that sense of I am in charge and I have to take care of and I have to and I have to and I have to, right? And I understand where that comes from. You've shared that with me. But I always wonder if there's something inside you that's like, no, me. And if I can use the word perfect or fantasy, what will help us like get there?
If we're gonna like remove me completely from the rules and regulations of this world, then we're gonna go into fantasy. And I'm a daydreamer. Mm-hmm. I am such a daydreamer. Yeah. And I started writing a little bit ago. Mm-hmm. I found this fan fiction site, and I started writing there. Yeah. So that's I love that. That's awesome to just because I lose myself for like a couple hours a day, like really lose myself in that world. And mm-hmm. half my characters are me. Okay. Well, they're not me, but I'm like pretending they're me. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome.
Would you share something with me from your fan fiction?
Wow. And just, I mean, there's the likelihood of there ever being a zombie apocalypse is like, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but the likelihood of like something like that happening is pretty slim. Yeah. But like I'll write a fiction like that where we are in the middle of a zombie apocalypse and I'm one of the protagonists and the other 8 protagonists are all like really good looking men or something. Yeah.
Does any of that, doesn't sound like it, but does any of like your fantasy tie into your real life? in some manner of like what you want to fulfill?
I think, and I've had like, because people can comment, and I've had people comment and be like, the way your male protagonists are written is so vastly different. Like they're very mature, very respectful, very like even when they're caring, they're still like there's no. Yeah, I've had people comment on the way I write my men more so than the way I write my women, and I think maybe I'm putting what I wish I had in there.
What would that look like? What would that man look like?
Well, first he'd be like really dead set sexy.
Fair.
No, just he'd respect me enough to discuss things with me that even if we didn't agree, we can still discuss them. He'd be supportive of the things that he knows are important to me and expect the same from me. He'd be willing to make sacrifices in as much as he'd expect sacrifices from me.
And why can't you find that or have that in the real world?
That I can have, but I'm not going to have it. I mean, I can have maybe a man like that, but finding a man that's like dead sexy.
Well,
Yeah, like but even that, like I'm asking for a lot. Because let's be real, how not necessarily that they're not willing, but how easy is it to do? Because I think there's a lot of good people in this world that want to do those things. Ideally, like I wanna respect my woman. I expect her to sacrifice me. I sacrifice for her. But when you get into the nitty gritty of the relationship, and then you start learning what sacrifice looks like for the other person, and that's not maybe what it looks like for you. And unless you can compromise, how easy is it to change patterns that have? I mean, even for me, like how easy is it for me to be like, yeah, I will be a housewife, That was not happening, but that to him was what he expected,
right,
from a marriage,
right.
So, was it that because I didn't? Was it because I'm a horrible person that can't compromise? No, it's because that wasn't a compromise.
That wasn't the one, like I think you were willing to.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, I recognize that about myself, and recognizing that about myself, I have to be fair and realize that I might encounter just as much of the same.
Right. I agree. I can understand where you're coming from. I guess I'm just trying to understand what it is, like your wants and desires in your life, because you're unable to really let yourself go, and that's okay. But at some point, there needs to be some fulfillment.
Yeah.
And where does that come from?
Well, it's not coming from other people. I'm learning that the hard way. It's not coming from relationships. And if it's not going to come from other people, from relationships, I'm going to have to figure out how to do it for myself. And right now, I don't know that. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Because I've never ever done it for myself. I've never, in as much as I've been taught so much, I've never been taught how to love myself. So, like where do I sign up? Where's that class? The Love Yourself 101. Let's go.
I think we all need to go to that class.
But yeah, I think I'm doing some things right. Trying to take time out for myself, not be as angry with myself for things that are out of my control, like him leaving, or my grandmother or my mother not wanting to listen. That's out of my control.
Yeah.
And try reminding myself when that does come up, I start to get angry or start to feel like maybe if you had, or you should have, or you could have. Just reminding myself that that's not in your control.
Do you ever find yourself like writing things or like writing things to these people? Not saying that you would ever send them, but do you ever find yourself like writing or I don't know, like writing letters or?
I do a lot of poetry.
Okay.
Yes, I do a lot of poetry. I don't know if, I guess when the pain or hurt or frustration or anger comes up or I'm feeling it,
Mm-hmm.
I just write. I don't know if it's always directed at a person. I just know it's more mostly the expulsion of an emotion
Mm-hmm.
that I don't want to have. I maybe not even don't want to have. I just don't know how else to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Would you mind sharing something with me?
I mean, I guess I can. So it's it's like really hard to share because I've never shared any of my poetry with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Fan fiction's easy because it's fiction and it's so make believe, so
Yeah.
make believe. Like it doesn't matter. But poetry is like so real,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never shared anything with anybody. So I just like I can't read it to you. I will never be able to read it to
It's
you,
okay.
but I can like show it to you.
Okay. Do you mind if I read it?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
So it's the I guess the dusk.
Okay. All right. It's called Dusk. Am I able to? Okay. The shadow falls and I see it coming. Dusk comes. Dusk falls. Dusk breaks. Breaks what I have made here. Steals from me and I can do nothing but watch. I cannot make the sun shine again. I cannot make your heart beat to mine again. I have tried. Believe me, I have tried. And yet still dusk falls. The shadow is heavy. It is darkness. Not drowning. It is cruel enough to leave me the fading flittering of the light that I may see still. When I now lose, dusk comes. Or has dusk already come? Am I holding on to a dream that is no longer for me to have? This was mine once, with light and warmth. This was mine, but it seems it is mine no more. Wow. How'd that feel to hear me read it out loud?
Felt hurt.
Mm.
Felt oh, it really made me want to cry, and I don't think I cried. I don't think I cried when I wrote it. But I felt heard, felt accepted, I guess, to have somebody say my words for me.
Thank you for letting me read that. Can I ask you a little bit about the background on why you wrote this?
Yes, so that I think that was just after we broke up
Mm-hmm.
and he was leaving,
Mm-hmm.
and just I didn't know what to do with everything I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know what I was feeling, and when I'm like in that much emotional turmoil, pen and paper are like good places to be.
I see that in that I cannot make your heart beat to mine again. I have tried. Believe me, I have tried.
Kind of just felt. I think that was when I think that was at that. It was at that point that I just accepted I wasn't responsible anymore.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what to do with that because I've always been responsible. It's always been my responsibility to A, B, C, D, and E. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And if things aren't going right, well, dude, you're the problem. You're the problem solver. You're the head of staff right now. So what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it probably felt, a little bit out of control.
So out of control.
Hmm.
Like just orbiting out of axis.
Mm.
Spinning out of axis.
I understand what you said.
So yeah, that was there's a lot in there. It's like acknowledging that, and I realized like because what happens when I write is I don't know what I'm going to write,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll start writing, and kind of basically the best way I have to put it, the truth comes out as I'm writing,
Yeah.
and so then I'll go back and I'll read it, and I'll be like, oh, okay, so that's what you're thinking, that's what you know, that's you know it, you just didn't know it.
This is your voice.
Yeah.
This is where you find your power.
Yeah.
Do you feel empowerment after you write something like this?
I feel so. It's like cathartic.
Mm-hmm.
It's two things for me: dancing like a crazy person
Mm-hmm.
and writing.
Yeah.
Writing is like bleeding out the pain
Mhm.
through the ink. You know, and I prefer to write in pen
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll type it up
Mhm.
because it's just every drip of ink is like every drip of nastiness coming out of me.
Mhm.
And then dancing like a crazy person is obviously just fun, but
Yeah. And yet you keep these to yourself.
yeah. When you've never, when you can't trust people to listen to you, and that becomes a habit, whether it's my fault or theirs, like whether it's because I'm not giving people the opportunity to anymore. Like they might, in all honesty, my mother and my grandmother might listen to me now because I am an adult
Right.
and I'm rolling into the like position of matriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
They may actually listen to what I say now about what happened then.
Right.
But I've like, I'm too scared to take the risk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm too scared to take the risk now to share this with somebody. Not for any reason like, oh, what are they going to react? How are they going to react? But like, who just goes around doing open heart surgery? Like, here you go, here's my heart. Like, I'm not. That takes trust and guts, and I don't know that I trust anybody enough.
Yeah, I can understand that and respect it. I really do appreciate that you let me read that. It's beautiful, in all its glory. But one of the things that interests me in talking about was you said now that you're older, you feel like you might be able to share your situation with your uncle, with your grandma, and your mom. What would it look like? How do you see it? If you could say it,
I think they'll say something along the. They won't brush it off. They won't pretend they don't know.
mm-hmm.
I think they'll give me an anecdote of the issues that he had or the things that happened. They may even share things with me about things that have happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do believe that there's, like my grandmother, she was young during the time. And I call her my grandma. Yeah, she is my grandmother. I was going to say, call her my grandmother. She's not, but she's my grandmother. She's my grandmother by anyway. But my grandmother, so she grew up in the time when we were like not losing, but coming out of colonialism.
Mm-hmm.
So she was alive when we were having all like our civil wars and our our end of colonial wars.
Yeah.
I know there's stuff that happened there.
Mm-hmm.
I know with my mom, she's starting to share bits and pieces here of stuff that as a child I didn't know, or like I'll have like kind of like remember stuff, but I'm not sure I remember it because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
Or and she'll start to share things about like deaths in the family and stuff like that. So I feel like they would share things that happened to them,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd hear what I said.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there would be any sort of anger about it.
Would you want there to be anger?
Yeah, like what happened to me.
Yeah,
sucked.
right. Your innocence.
I was a child that had a penis stuck up her body.
Right. Thank you for sharing that.
So I would want there to be anger.
Yeah.
Because I was angry.
Right.
Like fuck that shit, basically.
Yeah.
So
if they weren't angry, it would almost be like a smack in the face.
And I don't think there'd be anger. And I understand why there wouldn't be anger to some degree because they've lived with degrees of and lots of stuff with them as well. And they've had to carry that, and I empathize with that. I can't even imagine having to live through post-colonial war and seeing the things that they saw.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having to live through the deaths that in the ways that my mom's like sharing that she's had to live through. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't be angry for you.
Yeah, don't invalidate your own trauma. Right.
So that's kind of where they definitely hear me. They might even like say, how do you want to handle it? What's the way you want to go forward with this?
But that almost puts the responsibility in your hands.
And I don't want to handle it. I want y'all to get pissed, and I want y'all to figure out what to do because I deserve that.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Instead of you having to always be the one. You want the other, like, matriarchy
to protect me.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Yeah. So,
How are you feeling right now?
angry.
Yeah.
Like, really
Like, I'm
angry.
sorry.
No, not just. I'm angry because I'm thinking about the fact that yes, now I am rolling into the matriarchy, so into this role. So yeah, I would probably get a degree of respect and even be heard.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still angry about the fact that I'm still me, and I was me when I was 8.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you then?
Right.
You know.
You can be angry.
So. I don't know what to do with anger though, because where do you put it? Like, what do you do with it?
You're putting it in here,
Yeah.
but then you're not sharing it. Where would you put it?
If I wasn't putting it in there,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. I'd just take it to the grave with me.
Mm-hmm. What would that look like? Taking that to the grave with you. What would you look like carrying on to all of that?
I'd probably die really young. Honestly, I think if I hadn't discovered that I could write, I would have committed suicide a long time. I would have taken it to the grave with me because there were days and times I just burnt. It just burnt,
Mm-hmm.
and I just couldn't take the heat anymore.
Yeah.
The coals were just I just couldn't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And if I hadn't learned that I could write, or if God forbid I was unlucky enough to be illiterate,
Yeah.
I would have taken my life.
Well, I'm thankful that you didn't do that and that you found writing.
Yeah.
Now we need to find how to share.
Ha ha ha.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think, and you can tell me how you feel about this, but for our next session, how might it be to write a letter to your grandma and to your mom and then we burn them?
So I would maybe write. It might not even be a letter. It might end up being like a poem. But I tried burning something once. I wrote a poem, and then I burned it, and then I was so mad at myself because I think a part of me wants to keep them so people find them. Because
then they'll hear you.
They'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether they hear me or not, that's on them, but they'll know. I want. So a part of me knows that I want the message out there.
Yeah.
I'm just not brave enough to put it out there. And I remember like burning. I don't know what poem was about, but I remember burning it. I was just so mad.
Yeah.
Like you're so dumb. Why did you do that? Now no one will ever know.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but you didn't want anyone to know. I was like, and then that's when I realized I did want people to know. I just couldn't do it myself.
Yeah. Well, how about you write a poem or a letter to your grandma and your mom, and do you mind sharing it and walking through it with me next week?
I can try and do that. Yeah.
Will it help bring any clarity?
It might. I mean, writing usually helps me.
Mm-hmm.
So it might just even be good to just start talking to them again about it, even if through paper.
Yeah. They don't need to see it yet, but maybe it will help bring it up more for you, and then maybe you will be able to in some way, and maybe we can work through, if they don't react in anger, how you can maybe feel differently.
Yeah.
But they should be angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should validate that.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah.
You doing all right?
Oh, okay.
checking in.